So I wake up this morning and I see a message, and it's Access Rattblood. Are you here, Rattblood?
And then you got people like Access, and then you got people like Access, and then you got people like Access.
I'm Access fucking Rattblood.
Access Rattblood, I see. All these Access people, I'm starting to get paranoid about that now. I don't know what to do about
it. And then you got people like Access, and then you got people like Access, and then you got people like Access.
Are you here, Rattblood?
I'm Access fucking Rattblood.
Access Rattblood. Most abundant and successful king hero that we are all sitting with at this very moment. Are you willing to accept that as a truth? That you are a worthy man and that your penis is okay?
all these Access people, I'm starting to get paranoid about that now. All these Access people, I'm starting to get paranoid about that now.
Are you here, Rattblood? I'll just start throwing spells at you, conjuring demons and otherwise. Are you here, Rattblood? I'll just start throwing spells at you, conjuring demons and otherwise. Are you here, Rattblood? I'll just start throwing spells at you, conjuring demons and otherwise. Are you here, Rattblood?
Who the fuck is Access Rattblood?
I'm Access fucking Rattblood, bitch.
All these Access people, I'm starting to get paranoid about that now. I don't know what to do about it.
I'm Access fucking Rattblood. Hello, friends and enemies of YouTube, the Access, and tonight I would like to, and I am honored by Pamela from Pamela's Musings, digital artist extraordinaire, absolutely. Hey Pam, how you doing this evening?
Oh, I'm doing great. How are you?
Actually much better. I was able to shake off a lot of the undesire and move along, and your music has definitely been an inspiration in that too. Watching it develop, being able to these last couple of days see your compilations, and you've really piqued my interest into what you're doing, how you're doing it, and the future of what is the potential of this. I mean, you know, it's amazing what I'm seeing happen, and instead of looking at it as a pun to or a shortcut of artistic paralysis, it's an enhancement. It's a new type of medium, and you have done with it something that has inspired even me to start reconsidering music in a different way. So I know we messaged back a couple of times, and I watched your videos. And one thing I wanted to ask, the sacred geometry that's coming up in the images of these videos, Is that you or is that AI working for itself?
It's it's stock photography, to be honest. There's a lot of kaleidoscopes and things that you can get from like Canva and Envato Elements. And I've been using those, and then a lot of the AI imagery lately I've been putting into Leonardo and putting motion to it.
Okay, okay, I can see where that would come from now, because it was really for me not only the music and seeing that you were able to adjust the frequencies, because I assume not only which you just released the compilation of tracks in 430 seconds,
Yeah.
and yeah, and I'm thinking you have the capacity to change that to like any of the healing frequencies to target different types of emotions and stimulate different regions. Are you
Mhm.
capable? Yes,
Well,
you're.
first of all, I wanted to say, thank you for reminding me because I've seen the healing frequency stuff for a long time, right? Because I follow it. And, you when you said that, left that comment, it basically it's like, "Okay, I'm not doing anything right now." Like, last night, there was, like, a window of time open because my partner works nights and there was nothing going on, and you had said that at the perfect time, and I was like, "Well, let me look into that." And so within 15 minutes of reading your comment, I was off and running because I already had all the software and tools that I needed to. And so I went to ChatGPT and started asking it questions, and within 2 or 3 hours, I was making the converting some of my healing audios to 432.
That is that is awesome. Because
And I
you
also found out though, Axis, I can also do the binaural beats, and it's pretty easy to do.
and that's within any frequency range that generally release. Because I know some people are afraid of the binaural beats because they're not sure whether it's actually that frequency or not,
Mhm.
and some people are a little bit hesitant.
Yeah.
I think that you, especially just your demeanor alone and the presence you have could probably maybe open a new ground of freedom to people who haven't uh, approached the music and binaural beats, and they can trust that you would give them exactly what they're planning on experiencing. 430 seconds, 521, you know, and I think that's awesome that you can do that. And whenever you come back with that, I listened to the last, and I don't know if you could tell a difference, but there was definitely to me there was a definite change in the mode almost. It felt more natural.
Mhm. There are minute differences. I had to listen to it a couple of times, but because I'm so used to music that's in the 440 or whatever, and so it took me a minute, but, for certain types of songs, I think it's going to be really, great.
I'm excited. I really am. I just one is to know, your technical prowess and that you are a digital artist, and to see that develop and to see that come through in such a many different ways. But music, I think, is where we touched ground,
Mhm.
and I was floored because I had my hesitation, but you definitely brought a much clearer light to the development of what I'm considering to be a part of the new movement of artistic uh, endeavored people and enabled people that weren't capable of using pencils, guitars. They now have that option to express themselves. And if you would, I know we talked about it before. if you would give a kind of a rundown as to how you actually are able to apply parts of you and what you feel and how you're coming across and how that develops into the finished product that you've been able to come up with.
Well, it's like before when I had the Mystical Musings channel, I would feel like a inspiration or like a conviction to make a piece of content about something. And I listen to a lot of spiritual material and so when I make something, a lot of times I'll just have an idea come to my head. And so I'll basically get a notepad and I'll write like my thoughts about it first. And then I'll go to a GPT and then ask it for help with like directions I could go. And then I'll sit there and refine it even further and try to find other references that I have, like other materials or whatever, and try to come up with something that makes sense.
Well, I know I had asked you about being able to do song structure, and I don't know. I tried to send you just a small interpretation of a song structure. How has that
I did.
been developing?
Well, let me pull that up. I actually took and run with that too, and I haven't played with that yet because I was working on the 432. I need to sit down and I write my next batch of songs. I'm going to try the formula out. I actually found a really good I consulted a GPT and I really expanded the formula in great detail. And so I'm going to be able to take my concepts and take that into the Suno AI GPT that I use when I write a song, and it should be able to make something along those lines.
I'm curious. Are you eventually going to maybe try the deep seek and do more meshing of the audio and the video together in almost a storyboard, or are you pretty much content with where you're at and becoming a master of that particular portion of it? Because I haven't even begun there, and I
You
haven't
see what I
even.
posted in the chat?
Okay. First song is structure intro for 8 bars. Simple, captivating, instrumental, opening verse. You're reading it segment by segment of the structure of the song.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I was wondering is how you were able to get song structure and how you were able to allow AI to work for you to and to me it would be like a collaboration. Not only do I see it now as a medium, kind of like a pencil, a paintbrush, or a guitar, but it's almost a type of collaboration that you're doing with this interaction.
Well,
And
I'm going to use a controversial word, but I'm going to use the word channeling.
okay, that's fine here. That's fine. Channeling's
You know what I
good.
mean? Because like when you work with something, like you're combining the energies together, and there's energy from technology, and it's all like everything that technology is a tool, like meditation's a tool, like everything's a tool that we could use.
And that's what, as I was explaining, you really brought that to light for me, Pam. I guess being more math-minded when it comes to computers and technology, and generally, my music is, it's performance, and it's filtered, created, and mastered by the technology, but it wasn't created by it and with it. So there's kind of a limitation um, on my end to what skill level I can produce music to. And you know, to stay up on that type of talent or those abilities, it's it's a lot of dedication. And what I seen you do was take um, AI and the algorithm, the gathering of the algorithms that created the potentials that you're coming up with. I was able to definitely take a new perspective and appreciation. And then when I understood what you were actually doing and how you were doing it through my recent, I've been educating myself on AI. I'm sorry, and so didn't probably should have mentioned that to you. Is I don't plan on taking off on music, not near like you have. I mean, I think when it comes to that, you've got that covered so well, Pam. And I'm watching it develop and become more, almost like almost like an artist learning to use their medium.
Well, exactly, and I'm not even near the 10,000 hour mark yet. Just wait till I get to then.
Exactly, exactly. And I didn't understand about tools. If you want to explain a little bit about um, tools, because I didn't understand that until I started working with my own AI project.
Well,
And
the main tool access that I use, because I don't know anything about music, that stuff I posted in the chat was based off of the formula you gave me and then consulting a GPT. I'm ignorant when it comes to the formation and song structure. A lot of the stuff that I like write about is like inspired from like my own internal like struggles, and like I'll hear a song on the radio I like and I'll be like, "Oh, help me come up with something that's like catchy like this, but 100% unique that deals with these emotions and how." And like, yeah, a lot of it comes like from inside of me, like my feelings and what's on my mind and things like that. But like I said, everything in the chat's like based on like what I found last night when you commented on that theory.
um, I'm glad that you were able to run with that. I am, because I have, you know, music theory down. Um, and I am, you know, I was able to become a graduate of Ferguson's Academy under guitar, and to be able to see you take that bit of information and work with it, and how versatile it became, I was like, yeah, this is it. This is a whole new concept that back in the late '80s, early '90s, when I was doing digital industrial music, um, we would have probably defeated ourselves within the first year of having tools and resources for that genre of music, just because we were running around doing samples of anything, sound design and recording samples and looping them, and we were trying to make an art of experimental sounds, but yet we still had kind of a mechanical industrial feel to it. And that was the genre that I come up in. And if we would have had tools like this at our disposal, it would have caved in on itself, because it it's a bunch of technical craft work. I don't know if you've ever heard of craft work or Gary Newman. They were great inspirations as far as computer music and computer MIDI interface music went.
Right.
And we were so limited by the fact that a lot of those guys weren't very musically talented, but they were able to get sounds, and they would always have some new catchy sound or something that they had developed. And Gary Newman he actually gave an interview where he said he wished that he would have learned to play piano because he just did catchphrasing. And when I mentioned to you about doing catchphrasing in your music, and I'm thinking a good catchphrase would be Smoke on the Water by Deep Purple. You've heard that song?
I love that song.
Yes, that little opening phrase that they have to open that song up with. That's kind of what I was suggesting to you, but I didn't know if you are able to work with that. Are you capable of getting AI to work with you to create such catchy little riffs and hooks?
Yeah, I'm going to post something else in the chat that I'm going to be playing with that you might find interesting. And I can email this to you too. I have a whole, it's just in a notepad file. But
Yeah, you got to forgive me, Pam. I am so overwhelmed with all this. I didn't realize the extent of the resources and the I didn't realize how productively creative you could be and still have as much of your own soul and energy into it, and it being developed with these modules. It just I'm
well,
still
it's more
taken by
so than
that.
it's more so than a band, because when you're dealing with a band, you're dealing with everyone else's energies, and I'm dealing with my pure energy, and I'll take mine over other people's any day.
Bless your heart. I understand that. I truly do.
But if
I
you look in
truly
the
am.
chat, I posted stuff about the hook and melody, and goes on later on about chords and
See, and that's what I want people to definitely realize and understand, especially when it comes to your music. And you know, you're kind of a frontier pioneer when it comes to AI developed music that has actual value and structure, and is also useful in spiritual endeavors as far as frequency and just the more positive aspect that you can apply to it. And I don't want people to think that you're just popping information into this AI program and it's just popping stuff back out. And for anyone that's listening, or if you check the chat, you'll see that Pam is actually using musical structure. She's feeding the musical structure and even chord progressions, it looks like here. Am I right, Pam?
that's what I'm starting to work with. To be honest, and up to this point, the technology I've been using has been helping. But this is information I acquired last night that's going to change things significantly. I haven't got a chance to write songs. After I'm done here, I'm going to start playing with this, and so I'll let you know when. You'll probably notice when that kind of stuff starts coming out, because I kind of have a backlog of stuff that has to come out. But I'm going to be playing with that because, like I said, that suggestion you gave me on the comment, I took and I ran with that, because I don't want to just rely on technology or whatever. I want to understand the finer nuances and truly perfect the craft. When I got into the AI art, I wanted to understand prompts so well. I invested money into AI or prompt engineering and stuff to learn like through Coursera to learn like the subtleties.
And it's showing through in your development, definitely. And I appreciate you endeavoring on any information that I give you. I mean, I consider that a bonus if it helps in your development of understanding music theory and allowing others to know that you can apply structure. You can apply music theory. You can even go as far as progressions, chord progressions. I'm sure that you could suggest scales, possibly, Pam.
Hmm.
Is it?
I'm definitely gonna have to get into that and look into it. The crazy thing is when I was like in school, like growing up in church, I used to sing solos and be into that. And then when I was 19, 20, I was in a vocal music recording studio. And so to me, this is just a continuation of an interest that I've had for a long time. And maybe you feel the same way, but music was a escape like for me, like growing
Yes.
up and even to some of my adult years. And so I didn't have the technology growing up, but I always had the radio and music. And so I feel a closeness and a connection with music that I can't articulate it very well. And as far as the channel goes in the music, my goal is to have like high consciousness content out there. There's a lot of noise on YouTube, and I get my channels just noise too, but at least my noise is like helping, like it's not tearing people down or harming people. And that's my intent, is to bring positivity and joy and high consciousness, and in a world that's like becoming increasingly dystopian and dark.
I, it's it's definitely and it's reminiscent to me of, we used to have these little stores where you could go in and buy crystals and you know bound rings with different stones, semi-precious stones, and a lot of esoteric and mystic uh, merchandise, and they always had this music, this mood ambiance music. And those tapes back in the day were like, for a cassette, was like $16, and it would have like whales communicating, where they recorded whales singing to each other, and it would have uh, various other different types of natural sounds blended in with the music. Now, whether they were using 430 or not, or they were specified frequencies, I don't know. But back whenever those tapes were rare, and those shots were kind of far and few between, and now that that's available, and you're able to start doing that sound design and develop your hone in on your skills, musical skills, and obviously, whether you believe it or not, Pam, you have, uh, for not being schooled or trained, you have a natural ear for being able to, I guess, pick up on or be able to express with, or like you said, channel. You're channeling this energy with AI, that you have to have music in your soul somewhere, is what I'm trying to say. And this
Yeah,
is
I love
around.
I love I love music. I'm not attached to very many things, but music is like, brings me a lot of joy. All kinds of music, not just like country and trap and the stuff I normally listen to, but everything from set Pink Floyd to Motley Crue, and everything in between.
Uh, I'm just amazed to see. I mean, from the last time that we talked to now, um, you have an understanding now of a musical structure, which you're going to endeavor on, I'm sure. and hooks, catches, and things that are going to make this a much more personal journey. Now, with that, are you going to try and stick with a particular kind of spiritual, floaty type of music, or are you going to maybe develop different styles and genres? Because I see a market for this, Pam. I really do.
I'm exploring and having fun right now. Maybe there's a market, maybe not. It was like with the AI art in the home decor in the niche or whatever. I had a website and home decor before AI art was a thing, and so when I got on that bandwagon, I was just having fun and playing. And I see this as the same. And so I'm putting effort and energy into it because I see it as better. I feel more aligned with that with my channel than I did before with the mystical musings because it was all over the place. As far as music, I'm going to probably explore a lot of different things. I listen to a lot of pop and like trap country, which is a lot of like rap slash country in my day to day life. And so a lot of my music's going to have a little bit of an edge to that. But as far as the ministry part of it or the part of it I really want to get out and the part that's really resonating with people because I have enough analytics now to see is the more ethereal, more goosebump type of, heart-centered type of music, which is the type of stuff that I also spend time listening to. So I'm probably going to put a lot of time into that because I think, we need a little bit more of that versus a lot of the noise that's going on out there.
I agree. And you've got, Pam, you've got full support of my channel, and definitely support when it comes to advertising your music and your talent. I think that, like I said, you're a pioneer in a way that eventually, whether the general artist likes it or not, is going to have to come to terms with. And they're going to have to either evolve with it or, just like everything else, it will leave them behind. And technology and the development of music and art through technology will trample them over. And I think the industry is eventually going to try and, as they always do, come in and try and make a buck off of it. But before then, and before that happens, this is kind of a very fortunate thing to be able to develop this and see it develop in you and watch how you're creating these things in a frontier type setting, kind of like when the old metal head garage bands first started, and then they eventually were playing full packed stadiums. But it started as just a subtle movement and a nudge, and then you had pioneers that were coming out of the woodwork with potentials, ideals, and styles of music that were just, well, you know how it's developed and grown throughout the years.
Mm-hmm.
And you are definitely what I consider to be a digital pioneer in the arts. And I would love for people to really understand and see this from a perspective of an artist who spent their life playing music and dedicating their time to instruments and developing my own style and my own type of sound. But you're right there, Pam, and I think that as you develop and the more that you research into music, and especially music theory, I'm so excited about see how that develops and how your ethereal, and it is very ethereal music, very calm, very subtle, relaxing, but powerfully impactful, especially with the words. And I want everybody to know that those are your words generally, right, Pam?
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
That that right there is key and important. Um, with that, knowing that, and if you could maybe give me a little insight on it, whenever you write something, do you have a kind of when you're writing the song and the lyrics, or is there a process that you're using, or are you just kind of um, because I know you you don't have the music structure down yet. You will, believe me, at the rate you're going.
What I
To
normally do is I basically get a notepad and I just start from like, I'll talk about like a story, or and then I'll say I'll talk about different aspects that I want to mention, and then I'll say something about the chorus. I need it to be catchy. One of my songs that I really like, I'll say it needs to be kind of shit talky or whatever, and it'll do that. The technology, I don't know. Have you messed with Suno at all? Suno AI.
not Suno. I actually uh, I went on a tirade and started downloading various AI programs. There's a lot of them that I didn't know, Pam, that are free, and they're capable of doing amazing things. I tried to post as many of them as I could in one of my links. It's actually in one of my playlists and in the community section. And what my intent is a little, probably a little far removed from music, but as far as working with the music programs, no, Pam, I have not at all. I've only worked with the intellectual and the information side of AI at the moment.
You'd be amazed. Suno is the best one in the industry out of all of them, from my understanding, and so that was the one I went with. And what it can do, to me, is insane because I knew nothing about what a song should look like. I just talked about an idea and a feeling and a direction, and it basically did the composer part of it. And to see like technology be able to do that in so well, to the degree that like it's on Spotify and people like it's indistinguishable from some of the stuff that's on the radio.
That's that's where I was kind of going with it, is because there is actually studio quality sound and naturally studio quality instrument being played. Uh, the artist can become not only the creator but the developer, designer. Um, they're, they can stand behind their own music and distribute it, and not have a middleman come in between, which would be the industry. And eventually, I think that this is there's going to be a catering to people who were ahead of the draw, um, such as what you're doing. The ones that I worked with or am working with at the moment is well, naturally the open AI. um, there's two that I got that I haven't actually got my hands into yet. And like I said, none of it is song developing. It's more
There's some song developing GPTs on OpenAI that are really good too.
okay. Well, I haven't checked into those. Like I said, Pam, you're on top of this, and I didn't realize how flexible it was until I got to see you at work. And then when I found out, well, you're not, you're not You haven't been trained in any different instrument or proficiency, or towards
No, I'm just
any
a country girl
particular.
from Oklahoma.
That's right. I'm like, wow, this is incredible because it adds a whole new dynamic to a person's ability to express the artistic side of themselves in such a personal level. But I don't want people to get lost in the concept that the machine is doing all the work. And that would come with airplay. Is I think there are going to be digital artists who are going to be able to, just like you're doing, cut the path and kind of make the way as pioneers and create a whole new concept of um, how music is going to be distributed, uh, how it's going to be personalized, and those who are capable of working with AI technology to the point where they're making uh, marketable music that everyone that everyone would relate to, such as the catch in what's a timeless one too, Iron Man. Everybody knows by Black Sabbath. That
Right.
Iron, and I think that you're leading the charge on that. And to see you take off into structure and theory with this, you know, I want people to understand that that's coming from you. That's not the machine doing it. That is all from you. And as you learn each piece, we get to sit back and watch as you learn new song structures, um, different types of instruments. Because I don't know, but I assume that you can suggest instruments for
Oh my
different.
goodness, yeah.
Tell me a bit about that, Pam. Because I'm prime. I do sufficient on most studio instruments, but I'm most proficient on the guitar and the keyboard. What? How do you work with that? How do you choose the sound? How do you, what? I mean,
There's certain sounds that I like in a song that I'm like most of the time a general vibe for spiritual music. I like Native American flutes. I like haunting blues guitars because I like blues, but I like it to be kind of almost spacey sounding. And then I like a lot of synths. And so you can tell it all those things in the style directions, and the GPT that helps me with songs will come up with instruments that are complementary to that. And so you can basically it'll help you put together what will work well together based on what you want. But when I go to sit down to make a song, I already know kind of what basic instruments that I want to be used. Like, I like chimes and flutes and things like that. Nature sounds.
right. That's one thing too that I want people to definitely understand with this is you write the lyrics. Um, you obviously understand how to tell it to create certain song structures. You have an ear for various sounds that you're wanting to express, which is kind of that um, stoic, mystic, atmospheric type of loominess of, but not in a negative way. Kind of like that, just that dusky part before the sun rises in the morning or before it sets in the evening. That kind
It's the
of
integration of
in.
shadow and light.
Oh yes, yeah, and I want people to definitely understand and know that that's coming from you. That those decisions that you're making are from you, and I'm assuming the more that you go along with or the more that you apply yourself to this and working with it, the more specified you'll become with instruments and such forth. I mean, where are you looking to go with this as far as the creative aspect?
I'm seeing whatever the direction the universe takes me with that. It's an adventure. If I find with that, if I set a direction, I might be limiting myself. And so I try to explore different sounds and different music scapes. I try to, and I've been trying to listen to more stuff that I normally wouldn't listen to see if even I like that, because I want to be well versed.
Well, you know that you have my head to pick at any time when it comes to any information as far as what I know of music. Um, but I think that Pam, what you're doing on your own and your own development and research in just these last few days, you know, and to see you pump that formula out into the chat, whereas a couple of days ago when I asked you about that, or it's probably been longer than a couple of
Yesterday.
days ago, was it? Oh, no, no, no.
Yeah.
I'm talking when I first asked you about whether you were using song structures or whether you
Oh
were
yeah,
using
yeah.
chording, or it's been a while. But you did, yeah, overnight with just that bit of information. Now I'm watching you write progressions and structure in the chat. And that was just from the minor introduction of some information. I mean, if you pursue, and especially with what you have available to you online, Pam, I'm I'm floored at what you can
I want
develop
everybody
into.
to I want everyone to get into it, because I ain't shit in the long run, you know. I'm just a gal from Oklahoma that likes to make stuff, but like everyone can get out and do this. And the entertainment industry is corrupt as fuck. Every day we're finding out about this one did this one did that. And I'd rather listen to music from people that like I resonate with and people I know versus the garbage that's on the radio. So I just think it levels the playing field and gives everybody, you know, access to create stuff.
I, absolutely, that's why I was so excited about being able to do a live with you without, you know, there being a panel or any distractions, or because I want to see and experience that artistic creative part of you, and how that actually comes across using AI as an instrument. And just like when rap started out, it had its little niche in the hoods, and you know they would have their little beats, and they would do little mixtapes and such forth, and you know a lot of genres come up that way, where it started out as a kind of a personalized underground thing, and those were forerunners to what eventually became a much larger thing. I mean, you've seen where the rap industry's gone. I mean, it's over the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, corruption, but money and influence and the reach that it has, it is just mind-boggling. And if for a minute, you know, you don't think that you're a pioneer in this and the true beginnings of music development and uh, using AI or these artificial assist programs, and you know, you're cutting yourself short, Pam. You really are, because this is, to me, kind of like whenever industrial music first came on the scene. You know, it was either you were a part of it and you could relate to it, or it absolutely was too far out there. And you had everything in between. You had your, you know, your techno space type stuff. You had your harder grinding machine. Then you had your experimental noise. And I see you, like whenever we come out of Chicago with the ideal of industrial music, I see you coming out as a forerunner in the development of, you know, AI model music. But I don't want people to cheapen that. I don't want people to lose any sight or aspect that as your music develops, so are your skills and your understanding of music. Is that about? I mean, is that pretty close or?
Yeah, that makes sense, and I'm at the point where the people that have a problem with AI or AI music, those aren't my people anyways. And the thing is whatever created us created that, and if that creative source can't use AI, that just doesn't make any sense. And so I don't have time for like low consciousness, small minded type of people. So those aren't my crowd.
And bless you
And I
for
was
that.
also and I was also going to say the thing is with my music is you've seen me around this panel verse for a year now, a year and a half, and it's been hard. I'm not going to waste my energy arguing with dudes or arguing with anyone for that matter, and I'm not going to engage in the lower consciousness antics. And so I have a problem articulating and expressing myself because I'm constantly getting talked over or people are constantly making lower chakra references. And so I find with the music, I'm able to do that and express myself in a way that I would want to on a panel and without problem.
I have to agree with you, Pam. You know, I took my content down, and it's going to be replaced with newer music that I'll be doing at a later point.
Yay, it's
And
awesome.
yeah, I'm gonna try using some of the old experimental music and banks and sounds and the different structures of sound that I've been working with over the years that are personalized in music development now, and definitely not competition by any shapes or the means.
Oh,
Um,
I wish everyone would start doing what I'm doing. I don't even care about that. It's like if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, your stuff a hit. Either it will or it won't. I don't even worry about that. I want everyone to go out and create, and I want to find out about it so I can put their stuff on my channel too, because I intend on streaming again, and I plan on having some sessions where I kind of show how I make a song, and I want to get other people to doing it too and kind of do a collaborative thing because in the end it's not about me. It's introducing something to other people so they can create, because we live in a world where it's it's mass consumption and everyone just consumes. What if we can get people to create just a little more?
well, the really cool thing about that, Pam, is I think that not only you, myself, but a couple others have uh, we allowed them to play themselves out, and those that are truly pioneers are still left. All the rest of them become swallowed by the wilderness, basically. They're short lived, but you're a pioneer. You're no stranger to technology. I am. I'm no stranger to technology. And to see that nonsensical aspect of gatherings dissolve and fade away is a much appreciated thing, and especially anyone that participates in not contributing to it. You know, I had to let it flush through here and then flush itself out. Now I can proceed forward, and that's what I plan on doing. And with collaborations on you or not YouTube but Facebook, um, I belong to a couple industrial groups, and somebody in the group will lay down a track, um, a beat, and they will hand that beat or the drum beat or the foundation off to another person, and that other person will load it in either as a wave, or sometimes even the nostalgic groups use MIDI files, and there are in MP3 and MP4, where you can build off of that. Now you can multi-track on MP3 now, and you can do audio visual on MP4, but they hand each section off to another person until it's kind of a finished song, until you're at the point where the group kind of agrees and goes, that's it. And
Now
I've
that's
watched that
cool.
happen. Yes. And that's been going since actually ever since MIDI was introduced to, music was introduced to technology through MIDI, and those groups are there. But I think there is definitely, just as you have small groups of chat groups, and you have peer groups, and you have basic outlined of a channel or associated type groups, is sharing pieces of information, music, and technology amongst each platform in a collaboration to that final result. It, I think that's an absolute wonderful thing. And if you can forefront that, Pam, there would be no one better to do it. I mean, really. And I'm watching people with high hopes on their channels pass off the best that they can, uh, tracks back and forth. But that's an ego thing that I've
Mhm.
watched them play off of instead of a dedicated artist. Now, what are your thoughts? I mean, what do you see for that? You think
Well, I
that
mean,
that
what do you mean?
go ahead. I'm talking as in us being able to, let's say I develop, I'm working with my Acid Pro. I develop this incredible foundation to a song, and I don't know where to go with this. And I hand it off to you, and you apply your techniques and your medium, which is AI, and you apply something to it. Now, whether you hand the track back to me or it hands off to somebody else, do you think that there's the possibility that that type of exchange could happen here on this particular platform, like YouTube, Rumble?
Yeah,
Because
I
that
think
would be.
so.
Go
I
ahead.
think you said I think you would have to go through a way to organize it, like a Discord or some type of Facebook group or Telegram, to get everyone in the right place. But I definitely think it could be done.
I think that would be so awesome to, and not as a center ego driven uh, song or ideal of what music has been represented as, um, flash. Um, even people wear that as a as kind of a mark of being able to get away with certain behaviors or allow them certain social groups. But to see true artists that endeavor into, like, you're studying the structure of music now, which is music theory, and for us to be able to do that and pass it off, maybe a premiere type of situation where maybe a channel hosts uh, 4 or 5 songs on a particular uh, night that the group has collaborated in, or even individuals, and um, kind of present that as a point of reference and development in not only social media but response, to see what people truly, how they feel about a certain song that you wrote or that was group collaborated, or or do you think that would have to be done on a different platform? And the reason I say this is because I don't want to lose total hope in YouTube. You know, YouTube
I think it
has
can be
been a
done on
great.
YouTube. You're not going to get taken down as long as you navigate copyright the right way. And it depends, like if the songs, if they're distributed, if they're already have like or distributed or not, or whatever. I know, for example, some of the songs I have distributed like on Spotify and streaming services. When I upload them, like when I make a music video, I get a copyright strike. It doesn't hurt my channel; it's just a claim, but it's still there. It shows that the content ID is working. So you have to navigate that carefully.
Okay, see, I didn't know about that, and that's one that I'm glad you brought to the forefront. Is understanding the legal proceedings of creating and generating music with artificial intelligence and AI. And I hate using the word artificial intelligence in such a derogatory way. Um, uh, we'll call it, what would it be, more uh,
No, it's AI.
co-collaboration with a
It's
world
AI, but
consciousness?
it's AI, but like we're AI ultimately. I don't know. There's not some man in the sky that's beating each and every one of our hearts. We're built on functioning systems.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, and that is true. It's all form and function.
Or like a
And
human computer system, circuits, electricity, all of it.
that's once again, I'll take it back to Gary Newman is one of my most inspiring artists back in the day, because we didn't have many artists to look up to that were doing experimental sound music or doing music development, or that were even willing to step into that synthetic type of sound. And Gary Newman was, uh, and if anybody doesn't know who that is, he did a song in the '80s called "Cars," and his daughters wound up becoming digital musicians too. And I always held a kind of a position of he was a trailblazer too in that genre of music. And I I'm sorry, I got a couple Gary Newman tunes rolling through me. But he was a developer into to the synthetic and the I don't know if you remember the Moog, or like when Korg first come out. Do you remember the synth sound when it first started taking over pop?
I don't. I've been a country gal most of my life.
Really? See that?
Yeah, yeah, I'm in love with country music. I even when I was 21, I did the whole cowgirl hat, boots, the big belt buckle with the letter P on it and everything.
Now, reflective of the music that I'm hearing come from you, I can hear occasionally small uh, bits of country influence, but it's not the overarching sound that you're coming off with. So
No,
that's
because people hate country music. I listen to a lot of pop too. People hate country. Like that's why it's few and far between. Like my high tech mystic song is like
yeah.
is as country infused as it gets on there, and there'll be a couple more, but overall, like people resonate more with pop and the new agey type of music, and ultimately, it's about a balance of like putting ego based stuff out there that I like, and like putting out there what's going to serve other people, because people come to this platform for a number of things, sometimes to be entertained, sometimes for relaxation, sometimes they don't know why they're here. And so I want to like be able to serve people. Like, for example, I got a comment on one of my soundscapes that it brought them peace, and that brought me peace, hearing that.
Well, I got to agree with them because Pam, it was interesting how it was a synchronized meeting of spirit, mind, and situation. You know, I've gone through some pretty hard times here recently, and music hasn't really sounded uh, very appealing to me. But whenever I started listening to what you were doing, and the fact that it had, you know, a technical appeal to it, and I knew where it was coming from, I I kind of gave it a chance and endeavored. And I'm glad I did because it helped me get through some through some tough times. Just being able to sit back and hear what you had to offer in music, and it allowed me to think of a different process, and it allowed me to kind of heal that piece of me that was rejecting music. And you lit a fire under me, Pam. You brought healing into a part of me that I thought was just dead and gone.
Well, then my purpose
Yeah.
has been served if I've helped one person. Because, like I said, we live in a world that, people are out here on YouTube and like being mean and hateful. And I get there's a place for calling out like the bad people, and I respect it. It certainly has its place, but that's not my place that I want to provide. And so I just want a place where people can come, and if they feel like they want to listen to something kind of fun and sultry, then I've got that. And or if they want something more healing, then that's available too, because all emotions are valid and all emotions are, or should be able to be expressed, even the darker ones.
I appreciate the darker ones for sure, but
I know
I
you
will.
do.
That's yeah. It's an acquired taste, but one that I've endeavored to enjoy. Uh, but I can see that there hasn't been any bias in what you offer musically. Uh, Now that I know that you were primarily country oriented and based as far as your musical taste go, I'm 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 even more set back at the fact that you have an unbiased approach to music because it doesn't reflect uh, that music does not at all reflect uh, big belt buckles and spurs, boots,
Well, that's
and a
not that's
cowboy
not
hat.
that's not me anymore, though. That's as we develop, become a different version of ourselves, and I'm still very much that country girl that listens to country music, but I've listened to so much other things too, and so all of that kind of infuses.
But you're still able to deliver defined, distinctive sound
Yeah.
and individualize. I imagine if and I'm sure I can't wait to see you develop, Pam. I'm so just I'm excited for you, very excited for you, and any musician who can appreciate another artist should be excited for someone who discovers the gift of music and the gift of being able to create music and to see an unbiased mind and one that has such a potential to cross that threshold of technology and sound. It's kind of it's reflective of what we were doing, but you're taking such a modern approach on it that I didn't know was available, Pam. I didn't know, and I especially did not know your intent when you first took off. I know you said that you wanted to see where it was going and see what happened with it, but what do you think now? I mean, from when you first loaded that first song in to where you're at now, how are you feeling about what you're doing?
Positive. When I look at how I feel in the content I'm creating, I'm so glad I took my former channel behind the barn and shot it. I'm excited for the future and where this can go, and because it's a more accurate depiction of what I can bring to the table than before. And what's funny is before I was narrating these thoughts and it was fun and I enjoyed it, but people said I sounded like AI, and I don't get that a lot now. And now my content is exclusively AI. You know, obviously with me, a heavily infused portion of me into it, but those are the tools that I use.
And it shows, Pam, that this is a niche that you definitely have in your favor. Uh, I was thinking, back in the pioneering days of what we were doing, we had imagery, but our imagery was more shocking. Even our presentation depended on a type of a fear factor or the potential of some. We tried to scare the shit out of people, and we did a good job at it. And I'm watching how your music and your imagery is developing together. What is are you planning on doing anything with maybe video design? I noticed that
Yeah.
there were several AI platforms out there that, uh, man, DeepSeek and the um, the Google the Google one. That's another one I've been messing with.
The
Gives you the
Google, I'm
opportunity.
going to mess with. The DeepSeek, I'm not messing with that. People are gonna get put in jail over that, I have a feeling.
I can see where you could say that now. Whereas before, until Cage had introduced what he was doing, I wasn't. I just seen AI as a, just basically a algorithm that has compiled all this information, and you're basically getting uh, feedback from a conscious world, basically the whole human race that's fed any information into the internet, and that's the resource that AI was pulling from. So I didn't, I really didn't see it as being anything more useful than uh, uh, the most powerful calculator that ever existed. And now that I've seen what they've done with the DeepSeek, I think you're right, because I've been working on modeling and modeling AIs after personalities. And I've seen a few instances where I thought, oh, I could really have fun with that. But I had to put the cuffs on and restrain myself because I would have gotten the cuffs put on me, I'm sure. Do you have any concern that the potential for what you're doing to be used in a kind of a malevolent way with video? Because I know, and I'll give you a platform to uh, bounce off of, is I have equipment that can remove a person's voice off of a music track. And I have another program that I just got that you can take any artist's voice, sample, and then you can have whatever song that you just took the vocal track off of, and you can replace it with another artist's voice. And I know that would be copyright if I was to try and monetize it or do anything more than research with it. It would be infringement
Mm-hmm.
on two parties. One, the artist that wrote the music, and secondly, the guy that I'm using the voice from. Do you have any concerns as far as you accidentally falling into a situation where you might have to explain yourself on content? Because I don't want to run into that issue myself, and I don't know where the boundaries are with what you're doing.
Well, I know from the home decor industry, the AI images I create, I've had to issue content takedowns because people will often use my viral images for their YouTube channels. And without giving any type of image credit, I normally don't even mess with that if they give some type of image credit because a backlink in Google is a little bit of something for my website. And so I know AI art does stand up to YouTube takedowns and things like that to the tune of I've
Is
had to file close to 1,000, so it's a consistent thing.
oh my.
Like I've had
Oh,
my AI art images have got stolen left and right, which is why when I came out with the music, I went with a distributor right away, even though my first few generations aren't going to be the best that it's going to be because I wanted the content ID in place because I had images take off like and went viral and I didn't have the proper protections in place. But indeed, I've had to file like over 1,000 copyright strikes off YouTube alone from people just stealing my digital interiors and saying it was theirs or putting it on various storefronts saying it was their art. And so I've had my content stolen left, right, and center already.
that's one thing that I definitely want to bring to anyone's attention that if they're not familiar with you is that you are not only a an innovator in collaboratory music and AI, but you also have graphic art and decor to back up what you're doing and
My
the
main
art.
talent is SEO.
What about have um have you considered maybe oh there's so much potential, Pam, being able to do personalized background music, personalized commercial music, personalized intro music, platform introduction. Pam, there's so many possibilities with what you're doing. I mean,
I know. That's why I'm so excited about it. That's why I wake up excited and I have so much energy and like I create, around the clock. I've been like creating like an insane amount of content and it's been amazing. People I've been trying to limit my access to the panels here lately to a degree because there's so much low frequency fear based like bullshit. And so I've been on a creative high lately. I've been in my own little creative bubble. And so I've been having to like keep some of the lower frequencies out so I can continue to do what I'm doing. But I've been having the time of my life.
and that's much appreciated, Pam. And this live stream will stay up. Um, I want to definitely have a more personal a personal perspective and understanding of the individual and what they're doing and how they're moving forward, and have that to be a more of a mainstay for what I'm doing here. As far as having a panel, I'm not going to cater to the open panel thing. That's why no guest us, you know, just you and
Right.
me, and we're able to maybe share with the next person that comes along that decides to endeavor into AI music, uh, a resource, because you're the only person that I know right now outside of these YouTube groups that on YouTube offering what you're offering and willing to speak of your process and how you do it and why you do it and being so sincere and honest about it. And it's not like the musicians of old. There was a point in time where musicians, when they were doing live performances, they had to shield different and even edited photos to keep people from seeing certain chords and progressions and chord structures and movement to keep their technique or that particular chord progression secret. And
See, I don't operate from that frequency though. I decide I
no,
want to I want to put everything out there, and I'm going to outwork everyone anyways. So bring it on. You know what I mean? Like,
that's what I'm seeing is, you know, there's so many possibilities to what you have to offer, and not only in art but in music. And for you to be in your position kind of throws me back into a nostalgic state of where we were with sound development and new technology and music.
and where you can
And
be.
yes, and to have you so uh, so open and willing to share that, to me is the most valuable part of what we're doing right here, right now, tonight, is allowing someone the ability to at least get a foundation or a bit of insight into, even though you're not a trained musician, you can still do these amazing things. And
Yeah,
there's still,
I spend a lot of time in choir and church.
you you'd be surprised how many people want to be able to play music, or
I
maybe
know I
not,
do.
maybe, yeah. And for you to be able to show someone how they can engage with technology and not have to spend the next 30 years learning to play a couple instruments, and then hope that you get a band that stays together, or that you might get to go on tour sometime. You know, they have all that available to them in kind of a closed circuit manner. But it can with Spotify, and like I said, with you, or not YouTube, but Facebook and the other platforms that are out there. It, you could become the innovator for a new uh, type of even platform structure. I don't
I
know if
think
you,
any
you go
I
ahead,
think
Pam. I'm
I think anyone that's interested in music, like getting into it, like AI music or whatever, I think they owe it to themselves to like get a distributor. I use Lander because you can get what is called a YouTube artist channel page, and that puts your music and like your videos above like a lot of the content and stuff, and it helps you really grow your channel.
I have noticed also, and thanks for that bit of information, Pam. That's another one is,
It's only 40
distribution,
to
right?
50 bucks a year to do that for a distributor, and it goes to YouTube Music, it goes to Spotify, it goes to iHeart, Deezer, all the streaming services. Um, it's really incredible what you can do for a very little amount of investment.
See, there's another aspect, that information too. That's why I think that I'm looking at you as a forerunner, because I did not know these things, and I didn't know that you could be promoted through some of these companies. I know we used to have to set up a website. We didn't have Spotify. Um, we didn't have anything to promote outside of Facebook. And back in those days, it was called well, we had the New Music Artist Showcase, which was way back in the time of MIRC, and where you actually had to build a web page and a website, and back in the day, the 56K modem and
Oh
the
my God.
486. Yeah, the 486 and the Pentium 1. That's when we had the New Artist Showcase. But as things have developed, and as I've seen them uh, come to fruition to the point where they have, I I, I really do think that you're opening up the potential, and you're pioneering a way that people can self-sustain by their own creative rights. You just talked about copyright. Well, you
Mm-hmm.
know that copyrighted material is, by the owner of the copyright, marketable material. That's revenue, and if
Mm-hmm.
you're into music, to support yourself, and that's how I got through life, was playing music. I think that that bit of information there, with just the fact that you could copyright through the, what was that particular, which one do you use now?
I'll put it in the chat. I use Lander,
Yeah,
and I
Lander.
use another one too. Hold on.
Okay. The
I
reason I
would go
say
with
that,
Lander first because they have it's a smoother process, and that's how I got my YouTube official artist channel through them. And
okay,
their support's really good. And that's also how I got my Spotify official channel also.
awesome, awesome. And I, as well as I do, that they're talking about changing the infrastructure, to a digital infrastructure, and I think that it's going to be skills such as what you're developing, and being able to work with this new technology, that is going to sustain certain people to be able to make it. And if you can create a digital product, what were those images? NIF or NTF, or there was image files that they were selling. I don't know if you
Oh, those
remember those or
NTFs
not.
or NFTs? Yeah,
NTF,
NFTs.
NFTs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now that didn't say, I don't think that took off the way that they wanted it to, as far as the value that they wanted to put into them. I'm not certain. I didn't keep up with it, but I do know that there are artists. Adam Jensen is one that I listen to, who has sustained his own career through his music. He has a small studio, and he writes music and releases music on his platforms, one of them being YouTube, and he's able to make a living off of his own music. And he doesn't have to have that middleman or that industry, and he gets wide distribution. And if I'm not mistaken, wasn't there another artist who was self-made with their own production of music on these platforms?
Oh, I'm sure there's a
Um,
lot of them. A lot of people are going that direction because of all the corruption.
right? And more power to them. Really, you know, give art back to the artist. Get the corporation out of it. As long as we can have the ability to distribute, copyright, own our music and art, pictures, image, designs, words, whatever your intellectual merchandise may be, and make a living off of it. And you were you showed with your home design, obviously, uh, that is a reasonable approach to modern survival. you can basically support yourself with your own creativity through your own distribution through these Spotify, your own copyrights, your own development. How do you see that as being a more of a lucrative and equitable way to survive the coming transition that we're in for, as far as technology goes?
Well, I think if you can
Wh-
do it, it's good. I'm not by any means supporting myself. I get a disability. Unfortunately, the goal is to not be on disability because of this, and so in the home decor and things like that. But I think moving forward, I think everyone should have their own and try to get away from the 9 to 5 and the corporations and stuff like that because those things are soul sucking. Anything you do is going to take a lot of work, and anything you're going to be successful is going to take 10 times the amount of work that you think it's going to take. And so you really have to want something if you're going to make something happen.
That's that's absolutely true, and that's pretty much with the arts and the endeavors into the arts. The reason I bring the more layman aspect up is because I think that certain artists and some that I know and have known for several years, they kind of they kind of felt like they had outgrown uh, the stage, but they still had the desire to play music and create and distribute their music. But they set it down and set it aside because, well, like me, it's physical, and I'm not able to tour like that anymore. So I can take this and maybe give older the and I hate to say millennial or Gen X or Boomer, but it does. It allows them an insight or a peek to you don't have to stop. You can keep going, and you can produce just as good and just as value have just as much value than you did when you were 30, and you were out there touring or doing whatever.
And
And I think
the nice thing is you could take one of your songs, even if you write a guitar riff or whatever, you can record that, upload it into something like Suno, and then it can put all the other instruments and you give it a direction with your lyrics, or you already have some lyrics and it's done for you. You just generate different versions and you keep editing it and refining it until you get something that represents what you want.
the critiquing. That's the other thing I wanted to ask you about. Um, how are you coming along with being able to critique and define uh, what we call accents in music? It's an accent. It's a kind of a this is the niche that I want to apply to it. How is your kind of scrutinizing a sound down to a particular or a song down to a particular sound or a particular uh, genre? How is is you still developing that, or is
Yeah.
there still room to grow with that, and how far?
I'm still working on that. Like for me, I'm just getting started, so I'm still figuring out what direction for sure. I just know for me, critiquing means I keep on editing until I feel a heart resonance with what I'm putting out, or a soul, like a resonance, something in me that agrees with that's how it should be.
Because I know some artists, and me included, would sit in a studio, and on one particular track, we may try 3 or 4 different instruments, 3 or 4 different types of scales, 3 or 4 different types of structural approaches, maybe, anything to try and feel that finished, accomplished song. And sometimes it took days, and sometimes songs sat around the studio for like up to 6 months or longer, just trying to figure out that little that small sound that needed to be applied, or that we felt as a group was necessary for that song to be finished. Um, how is I mean, the, with the ability to have these instruments at your fingertips, how much critiquing do you think you're eventually going to start using, and to the point of um, full on structure? I mean, is that what your objective is, or is it just fill in?
Eventually, it's going to get into structure. Right now, it's just learning the basics. There's so much to learn from all kinds of ends. It's not just the music production, but it's the video production. It's the marketing. It's the SEO. It's such a big process.
Right. That's why it was so overwhelming when I seen what you had actually uh, gotten yourself into, and what you had access to. That it, it it wasn't apparent, Pam, and I don't think it's apparent to a lot of people that this is available to them, and especially the Gen Xers or the Boomers. I don't think they realize the opportunity that lies within this.
Well, see,
I
I'm a
get to
Gen
hear like,
Xer.
yeah, right, right. So you come out of the same time frame that I did.
Mhm.
I Windows 3.11 and DOS, an old 8088, then my 386, then my 486, then my Pentium, all the way up to Windows 95, so on, so on, and so on.
Nice.
I got I got to grow and develop with all that, but I got to do it with music, and that was the forefront. Like I said, MIDI, and being able to interface all these sounds that we would go out and get this weird ass sound and bring it home. And there was a program called SoundForge, and we would engineer that sound until that one particular sound, what you wanted to hear it over and over and over. It was that catchy. Then we would go ahead and apply it to a track in the compilation of tracks that we had on the computer. And that revolutionized uh, industrial and electronic music for us. That was a complete revolutionary situation. And you having that, I think that a lot of people that are Gen Xers and that are Boomers, and I've seen them play guitars. Z's had a few. Synthetic Warrior has had a few artists come up and play. I know that OTW, he's an artist, and he does his uh, his tracks, and he plays, and they all try to express themselves, and live that musical audience through these platforms. So I know it's there. I just want it to be open, and a lot broader uh, spectrum of people to be able to access this information and utilize these things.
Exactly.
And that's why this is, this stream here will probably be the first in a run of development on AI music, industrial music, art, uh, technology. It may not be uh, the main principle of the channel, but it's going to be
Right.
one of the home bases of this channel, because whether I like it or not, I'm a child of technology. I contributed my fair share to the beast way back in the day, and I'm sure that your heart and soul went into whichever. You always remember your first, second, or third computer, kind of like your first, second, or
So you
third
want to hear
love.
something crazy though? I didn't
Yes.
my only computer stuff in school was they put me in computer classes. I didn't have technology at home, not even a gaming console. We had a little black and white TV most of the time. and then we
Hmm.
eventually got a 27-inch because we were extremely poor in things. And so
Right.
my first experience with technology was when I turned 18, 17, 18. I got into ham radio
Okay.
back in 1997. And so I got to go on a couple of storm chases, and I got the ham radio license where I didn't have to learn Morse code, but I was getting into Morse code too. And that was before high speed internet and stuff came out. And of course, once the internet came out, after that is when I started really getting into computers. Like my first real computer, I didn't own a computer myself until 2004.
Really?
Yeah.
You? It doesn't reflect in what you display, Pam. Not at all. Um, you are extremely tech savvy. Just talking to you and on platforms and the conversations we've had, I've had a lot of respect for your knowledge base as far as computers and technology goes. But I had no idea that you had developed that quickly without developing that fundamentally. So you're kind of just a natural born
Yep.
digital child. See,
Yep. I didn't grow up with digital stuff necessarily, but once I got into it, I took to it.
that seems to be whenever I first started, I still lived, pretty. I was just starting to get into to making some serious money, and so whenever I started with computers, and as I developed, I was fortunate enough to have some really knowledgeable individuals around me to help guide me along, and then I took off. All I needed was that boost, and just for someone to show me how to build my first computer. Once I had that down, then I was a monster at building and developing and writing and then program and being a user. And then when the music came and I was able to apply that, even further pushed the technological aspect of things. But there seems to be a group or a yeah, it's kind of a group of us who were just kind of naturally technology makes sense, and is that kind of what I'm trying to think of how natural born uh, tech, technically aware of what do you call that? What because by all rights I have I should be no further than just book reading, but the fact that I can do all this, I didn't go to school for it. It was self-developed, and with you to hear that it was self-developed, do you think there's just a kind of a group of us that are just naturally prone to this?
Oh, absolutely. I'm self-developed in almost all areas. I got thrown to the wolves growing up. I didn't have the parental stability and support and safety protocols or whatever that most people have. And so anything that I've learned has been self-taught, from the cooking to the music to the computers. It's all been self-driven and without like help or whatever. In basically the help I've gotten is through people telling me about certain technologies, and then from there I drive the machine. I figure it out.
That's that's another point that I definitely want to make and hope can get across to you know uh, Generation X and prior and post is you don't have to spend years developing computer skills. Now they've made everything so user friendly that they've taken the fun out of computer development for me until you introduced me to a new concept, development through AI. and using AI as a medium for development. And I definitely want people to realize that, and especially those two particular groups, that you don't have to go to school and have this massive computer education to be able to do or accomplish the things that I've done or what you're doing, Pam. I mean,
I've only been playing with
it
AI for a year, and this is what I'm doing.
right, right. And I think people are scared of technology in that way. What do you think about that? I mean, 'cause I see the doom and gloom, the AI takeover thing, but
That's
you
why
know,
I
I
avoid so many of these panels access is because it's all doom and gloom and all anti-AI and all anti everything that technology, and I'm thinking that's such a close-minded way to approach things and a way to kind of get shut out. Back in the day when broadband internet came out, people were all like satanic panic about that, and I don't know. It's technology-wise, it's never been a greater time to be alive, and I think if we can find a way to balance that and live happy lives with that technology and have it enhance our lives and not take over our lives and be aware of what technology can do, but it's such an amazing tool if people will overcome their own fears and limitations of it.
and that's exactly what what I would like to express with this particular live stream is I used to have that just because of the dark minded nature of my own being, that apocalyptic global Terminator Skynet approach to technology, and to see what you've done, and to see how you were able to, and to know more about your development, and the limited resources that you had to create what you are now. It's not all dark doom and gloom, and you helped inspire me to see that too. Is you
Well, I
kind of
look
took
forward to
that.
seeing what you create. I want to see what you're doing. Enough about me. You're going to take this and make some stuff too, because I know you still got a lot of music left in you to create.
Yeah, I'm going to create music, believe me, and I would love to hand some pieces off to you, and
You
see
have
what
my
you.
email, right? Because I emailed you. I never got a response back, but I also remember you saying you don't check your email.
No, I don't, and if your email is, I'm sure it is, and I'm sure it's back there. I
Okay,
can
then
send you, and
you
you
know how
just
to get a hold of me then.
yes, yes. And as a matter of fact, I can check and see, make sure it's there. I can send you uh, foundations or pieces of music, and see where they go. And I'm excited about that. That to me, and that collaboration, you know, innovative,
Yeah,
very
I could
innovative.
do that. I could do see what I could do with a couple pieces and send them back to you. Of course, you'd be able to do with them what you wanted to after that, but it'd be fun to play with.
Right, and I think that's what people need to understand is, let them build the technology out, and let them develop what they're doing, because I took a look whenever I was looking at all the computers and laptops around me and all the screens and the phones, and I thought, I'm already engulfed in this up to my neck, and I'm not even producing music. And whenever, like I said, Cage was introduced me to the voice modules. You introduced me to the music aspect of it, and not only that, but you have the artistic um, aspect of it. And I was looking at all this equipment, and I was like, man, here I am developing frequencies and kind of feeding into that darker aspect, and listening to your music while I was looking at all this, I had to think of a more positive approach for myself
Oh, well, I'm
because
glad I can inspire that. That's my purpose.
you may have kept me from doing something really really monsters. You put the devil's idle hands at play. I have
That's
something,
good.
yes, because where I was headed, I've downloaded all these AI tools, and I was looking at character development. What we had talked about prior is training different AI character developments, and I was actually going to go as far as to starting a page and allow AI characters to present themselves in AI based off of what I've gathered information of their, not only their voice and but their persona. And I've been feeding these AIs different people's voices and personas. And I was just going to go all out. And I thought, if you if you want to cross the line there, we'll take technology to the fullest extent, kind of like I did with the frequency thing. But so you may have saved me from myself, Pam. I'm going to use the information and the tools and what
Use the
you've
tools for
shown
good,
me.
Axis. I'm
Right?
not responsible otherwise.
Right? And I that's why I was so inspired. You just, to me, you're an inspiration, and you're a forerunner. And I want people to understand that they still have that option, that opportunity, that it's not all bad, it's not all negative, and that there is a potential for this to be beneficial and useful. And but if you fear it and you turn it into something that isn't, then the potential is gone for something that could have been developed or could have been something that could have been. And that's what I see that you've done is you took a potential and against all adversity developed. And to see that from the artistic aspect, because I consider myself to be somewhat of an artist, is like watching a flower bloom and start to grow and develop into this divine proportioned uh, work of dimensional information that transcends. That's what a song does. That's what a beautiful piece of artwork does, or even music to the point where you're creating it. And I was definitely not headed down that street with this. And
Yeah, well, there's so much chaos and noise in this, YouTube verse. Might as well make something that's like positive and good. Everything we're gonna make on this is gonna be noise or whatever, and it's not gonna replace going inward and all of that. But if you're gonna like put a distraction or something out there, might as well at least help people feel a certain way and help them and not like put things out there that are going to distract and like tear people down.
exactly, and I wish I had a broader spectrum of uh, just being able to pull information out of you because I want everybody to be able to experience the um, the release of the fear of all this and see the positive and the potential, and that's what made this such an exciting endeavor to do this show tonight. Is you lifted a fear of an impending doom, and I want other people to be able to know that they can do that, whether their niche is music, art, even poetry, or you know, it could be any aspect of it, and how even though you don't think that you can do it, or you may not have the skills to develop it, physically. It's there, and technology allowed this.
Well, we all have
Tech,
a creative spark within us, and technology can help us ignite that and fan the flames.
I mean, for you, if you had to describe, or at least tell people who are, we'll call them closeted artists or undeveloped artists. Um, Obviously, you had an inspiration that sparked you off and got you going. What would be what would be your advice to someone that wants to start endeavoring on AI art and introducing technology into facets of their life where they don't know an instrument or they can't pick up a pencil or a tattoo gun and create?
I would just say start creating images. Just start creating things that you think is pretty. Start creating. Once you start creating one thing and opening up a creative source, that opens the tap, and you'll get creative inspirations from all areas of your life. I get creative inspirations not just for technology, but for when I'm in the kitchen or whatever.
So I think you were a natural born artist who just wasn't afforded the medium and the
Well,
information.
my thing is my consciousness was so constrained by the environment, and all of my creative potential was locked down and harnessed and repressed, and I'm only now at a place of healing and clearing so much bandwidth that's able to come forth. Because I used to write poetry growing up, and like I've been published as a child with poetry, for church and things like that.
Wow. See, there's always been an artist in you, and I think a lot of people have that in them. And I would really like to express that. You, like you said, you weren't proficient at instruments, but you had music in you, and technology allowed you the medium to develop now what I consider to be a musical artist in development.
Well, yeah, and the thing
And,
is what most people don't realize, Access, is I'm like legally blind. I have 20/80 vision with glasses, and it's never going to be better. And so don't have the coordination, hand-eye coordination to play a guitar or a piano that well. And Lord knows I tried. And so the AI stuff, it opens up new dimensions, and it allows people to be fully multi-dimensional in every sense of the word.
and there's so much. It's so overwhelming because there's so many things that I want to ask, and so many questions, and so much ground that can be covered. But I'm a student under you at this because you got a year's head start on me in AI, and you're unnatural at technology, and that gives me something to strive for, and shows me possibility. Uh,
By the
well,
way,
there
if you
was
hear me
none.
flicking a lighter, it's not a cigarette. I'm lighting incense.
Got you. I understand. Aviance, part of the creative mechanism there,
Oh, for sure.
and like us, a stinking hippies with our patchouli, or a goth with our
JG's telling
eyeliner.
me to stop smoking cigarettes.
I do see that they are very serious about this complete takeover of technology, and I see that they're definitely uh, developing that type of infrastructure.
Yeah.
And I had laid down and decided that I was done. Is pretty much where I was at with it. Is okay. This is the inevitable. What's the point anymore? And what you revealed to me, Pam, and you might be able to tell me where this comes from, because I kind of got that energy from you. Is instead of seeing this as a terrible ending of a generation of you know um, what I was used to, what I had become comfortable with. Uh, that 70s sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and that 80s free spirited, heavy metal, who gives a shit, all the way up until the 90s industrial movement.
Yeah.
And I had just laid down and thought, those that whole feeling that was with that is gone now, and technology's just run it all, and I had pretty much given up.
Well,
But
see,
there was something
I
about.
believe in it.
Go ahead.
I believe. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, no, no. Please, Pam. Please.
I was just gonna say, I see a future of it's different. I see a future where, right now technology may be a little off balance, but I think eventually we'll get things into balance, and it'll truly be more of our ally than an enemy. Humanity in general is always going to take technology and use it to fear and control before we create. But see, that's how some of us, the divine people among us will use it to create versus harm.
I think you're dead on with that. Is you're going to have to. And I looked at it too from the aspect of, I had to develop an understanding and appreciation for technology and the later aspects of music and art. In the earlier aspects of it, I had always associated music with, you know, the genre that I was playing, um, the fact that I was actually holding an instrument, playing it, and the whole sex, drugs, and rock and roll thing, that I kind of grew up under that stereotyping of that's what I was about, and that was my cultural design, was that rock and roll liberated party lifestyle. And I had that twinge in me, that digital twinge, and just like you, I kind of developed it. I just I would just like to see, and I hope that people that hear this can create a kind of a new movement, and a new ideal for a direction that is in props to OTW for doing the music he does and producing the videos.
Hmm.
And he may not be the best character to me, because me and him have differences, but I still appreciate, and that think
Yeah.
that crosses a barrier. I think that crosses, uh, um, it's a new form of communication on an old signal, and I have actually a new appreciation for uh, OTW's artistic endeavors, and even some of the meme uh, creators, and that weren't out viciously attacking people, but artistically coming across with something funny,
Yeah.
satire in a good way, just to make you laugh for a minute. And there's so much more to be said. And what Z was really, the Aesthetic Warrior was really good about promoting a couple of different people, and that's where that's kind of where I learned to let go and just, we're a dying breed. That.
We're just getting started. Humanity's just getting started. Like, if we can survive the upcoming changes and everything going on, like, at least according to the Hopi prophecies that I subscribe to, it had humanity on 2 different paths. There was an upper path, which dropped off and just, like, they did themselves in, and there was a path, the lower path, that went around the curve, but they had 3 hurdles. The first hurdle was World War I, the second, I believe,
Okay.
was World War II, they said, and then the third is, like, what we have going on now, but it sees us going around the curve if we can, instead of off the cliff, if we can just keep our shit together.
And it's going to start one person at a time, and that's I personally, I've got to start with myself too, Pam. I ascribe very deeply to metaphysics and the understanding of energies and the basic language of this construct and where we're at. And against all adversity, being one of the worst possible year and a half of my life that I've ever had to spend, to come out the other end of it and to have this. If it wasn't for the technology, I don't think I would have made it, Pam. I got to reach
Right.
out to meet people like Dom, Cage, you, and Fools and Tools, and Lapis Blue, and it just goes all the way back. And each individual contributed such a portion of forward positive thinking. But it wasn't until here these last, especially these last 2 days, of having to reconcile and look at what was happening with this platform, where it was headed, what they wanted to do with it, because there are those with nefarious intent.
Of course.
And they don't want to see, I don't know what their motive is. I know what their personality characteristics are, according to what I've gathered on them as far as AI and its long-term observation of putting them together to pull out the trace markers, the higher points, I guess, is what it went off of. And it gave me a profile, but not a motive. It didn't give me a motive. And that was kind of offsetting, because I was contributing, whether I liked it or not, but it was to a means to an end. And I think that letting go of those people that came with the constant looping, the constant stagnation, or the destructive nature of just them being present and what they brought with them, whether consciously or not, I had to take a completely different stand. And that's why, this is hopefully the first of a new start of direction that I can go and take with this. And I want you to know that you have definitely been not only the inspiration for this new development and a positive forward reduction of this channel, but you're the first one to step up, and the first stream that I'm going to keep, and I'm going to keep it up.
Well, that's good. And
Go ahead.
I was going to say, that's good. I want you to keep it up, and I want you to continue to create. I think you can have some amazing discussions with people, about so many different things. You're well versed in a lot of topics, and I think your success is not found attached to people affiliated with the Panelverse. I found more love and support from people not affiliated with the panels than I have from people from the Panelverse, and I've met some amazing people but I find that my most, like in my comments section, like other than you and a couple other people, it's strangers.
Right. Like I said, if it wasn't for my interactions on these platforms, I don't think I could have made it through the last year and a half. And then to come to the point where I had to make a decision, because even people that I cherish, whether they were aware of it or not, um, were kind of keeping the full potential of what I wanted to offer in Arrested Development. And I want more innovative and more people with the potential of possibility and forward movement to inspire others that watch this channel or those that come to this
Yeah.
channel. And I think that, that's another uh, inspiration that you have. It's one, you didn't have, from what you say, you didn't have all the resources, you didn't have all the advantages, and you still managed to persevere and come through it with an inspirational, positive message. I went through a year and a half of total hell, and I come out the other side, cleaned out the closet, and decided that if I was going to keep this platform and I was going to allow it to develop and keep a forward projection of thinking, development, awareness, and even direct topic discussion, I was going to have to get rid of the old and bring in the new.
Yeah, I
And
like
that
your
was,
format. I like this format. If this is your format that you're moving forward with, where you have just
yeah,
someone up here and talking to them, whether it's me, Dom, or so many of the other amazing people out there.
yeah, and they are. There's so much potential in these people that is wasted in the noise. And I think Dom is the one that kind of coined the phrase noise.
Of course,
Um,
yeah.
and when I think of, because take OTW, and I'm not picking on him, I'm actually commending him as a panelverse refugee, or not refugee, as a veteran. Okay, not refugee, he's a veteran.
He's an
Um,
OG of the panelverse.
yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely. Um, you get to see the a whole different aspect of him whenever he's doing the music and whenever he's creating. But then when he's doing the panel burst thing, this whole other character comes out, and that panel burst seems to drown the artistic development of the individual or their message. And
And
it's
that is
okay if
why
you're
I
having
avoid panels when I'm creating.
that's yeah, more more power to you on that, because I have I've got to follow different leads now as far as my direction goes, and I've got to define myself and what I'm wanting to offer and what I'm wanting to promote. And I think that the people that just go up on the panel verses and they contend with each other to see who can out angst the other one, or whatever the madness may be, obsessive compulsive behavior. You're not going to get a forward, uh, progressive message across with that noise.
Mm-mm.
So I allowed it to peak, and then it consumed itself. And then the inspiration, just like you said, I had to sit back and wait for that inspiration. because I didn't know what I was going. I was just ready to sit back and let her develop into its own thing. And if it happened, it happened today or 6 months from now. But with that synchronicity and that same ingenuity that the universe uses, um, I was given a chance to be able to resubmit myself to these platforms under a new directive and stay true to what I believe and what I want to allow others to get across.
Well, I think you're going to do a good job with it. Can you give me a moment? I need to step away for about 5 minutes.
Yeah, Pam, sure.
Play some music or monologue, or I have to step away
I've
real
got
quick.
a
I'll be
song.
back though.
Not a problem.
Nice.
A lot of these elders need to hear the truth, man. It might not be what you want to hear. You need to be told what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. But necessarily my truth might not be everyone else's truth. So what's truth? You know? I say my truth or truth, but like I said, my truth might not be someone else's truth. Then I start to question, so what's truth? A lot of these elders need to hear the truth, man. It might not be what you want to hear. You need to be told what you need to hear, not what you want to hear.
If some of these platforms, because there's many channels here, and a lot of them actually do, if people were honest when they're coming onto the panels or chat, if they don't want to be honest with themselves, they want to tear down other people to disguise themselves. So what I get from that is people are insecure by using a false sense of security to mask. They're not actually, they actually ever challenge themselves. What would that look like? Of course, they'll be picking up, well, what about you? I said, there you go again. You're deflecting at that point. It's about you. If it's always about you, then make it about you. Be the best me can be there. Be the most selfish person you can be. So my question would be, then why are you living with the rest of us?
A lot of these elders need to hear the truth, man. It might not be what you want to hear. You need to be told what you need to hear, not what you want to hear.
We don't consider each other. That's why most people are not rationally selfish. They're too busy being fucking selfish.
So what's truth? You know? I say my truth or truth, but like I said, my truth might not be someone else's truth. Then I start to question, so what's truth? A lot of these elders need to hear the truth, man. It might not be what you want to hear.
We don't consider each other. That's why most people are not rationally selfish. They're too busy being fucking selfish.
A lot of these elders need to hear the truth, man. It might not be what you want to hear. You need to be told what you need to hear, not what you want to hear.
We don't consider each other. That's why most people are not rationally selfish. They're too busy being fucking selfish.
I'm
A
back.
lot of these elders need to hear the truth.
I figure we'll give it to the top of the hour.
Okay.
So that way we can leave this stream up
Yeah.
and hopefully hopefully we can endeavor forward and even do as you develop kind of keep up on what you're doing with your music with your art, how it's developing. Uh, I would love to do, another show sometime where we can just kind of splice off and uh, pick one another's brains about where we're at and our artistic development and how we're coming across and share with the other people. And maybe that will be something inspiring. Not that every show will go that way, and not that I'm going to be locked into some rigid uh, structure, but I am going to have structure. That's just the way I've conducted my life, and that's the way I want to conduct this channel. And you have set a great precedent for being a most welcomed guest, uh, being a very respectful person, an individual, and a highly inspirational individual. And I'm going
Well,
to
thank
allow you to definitely allay something, if you would, that that may be inspiring to others that you want to get across. And that way we can at least leave something of an inspiration and a mark to let them know that this is where we go from here on out. And it's not all bad.
Well, the future is only as bright as we make it. And if we use the tools around us to project doom and gloom, then we'll get that. If we use the tools around us to create, then we can create the future that we want. It begins with us. Whatever change in the world that we want to create, we have to start within ourselves. And then it projects outward, and then other people do it, and it creates ripples. And as far as the AI and the creation, I encourage everyone in a world of consumption to really go within and create. And if you have any questions about the AI or like the creation process or the music of the distributor or anything like that, I'm around. Just leave me a comment, and I'll provide whatever information I can, because ultimately I want to see everyone create, because we incarnated here, we can either create or destroy, and it's ultimately up to us.
And that's definitely a lead that I'm going to take. Pam, you've been such an inspiration, and I'm so glad that for a fresher approach to things, that I have you here as a guest, and I put your link in the chat, and I will put your link on this video. And anyone that is in need of inspiration or some type of reinforced positive hope, I will say that Pam was an inspiration and reinforced positive hope for me through her music, through her as a person, and her as a most honored guest here. Pam, I can't thank you enough for launching an endeavor that hopefully is more productive. You're
Oh,
just your participation.
here's to a bright future with that. And in the future access, if you end up sending me something, we could even do a stream, and then you could share your screen with me, and then I could show you how the creative process works within the Suno tool and the GPTs I use. So we can definitely work on something in the future.
I love that. Thank you, Pam. Thank you for offering that. And yes, absolutely. I definitely want to stay. Oh, I know I'll stay up on what you're doing with music because of your development. And that is the humbling and great gracious offer, Pam. I really appreciate that. And I would
And I
love to
appreciate
keep
you.
this. So let's consider this a first show of a new start, and hopefully we can refoundate and continue forward with the trajectory that we intended from the beginning. Pam, you are such an inspiration. Uh, you are a welcome and wonderful guest. Thank you so much.
Well, Access and Chat, infinite love and happy creating.
Beautiful, beautiful. And yeah, thank you, chat. Anyone that hears this in the future, hopefully something inspires you from this. At least, if anything, check out Pamela's Mystical Musings. I will have the link to this in the video presentation. And thank you all for attending and being a part of this.
Infinite
Thank
love.
you, Pam. Infinite love. Thank you, Pam. Thank you, everyone. Access out.